and welcome to this first demo session today. With me again, Aurélien. Good to have you here again.
Hi Jutta, how are you? Good to be with you.
Thank you. Aurélien Prenne is Managing Director of Woody Technologies, and I'm happy to have him here today. Woody Technologies offers multi-format ingest from any device or any location into a post-production or production environment. With the products of the Intuit product range, they designed a series of products to manage all local and remote operations. This is what users need to share their footage and stories with the rest of the team. Ingest from the field or mobile or from server side. In the architecture of the Woody products, we have several standalone options, but it's the idea to put them together and build a workflow with the architecture of the different options that Woody Intuit offers. We will have a look today into the basic ingest of files from the different variants, and I'm happy to have Aurélien helping me with that. Aurélien.
Sure.
The very first thing we need to do is to load the file. So I assume it's easy, and I like you to show us how it's working.
Yes, sure. So this very first step for manual ingest tasks is to load some content, and this is happening in Intuit Access, our tool for all the manual ingest operations, whether they are done locally or remotely. So what you can see in my Intuit Access user interface right now is web browser. I'm in a web browser actually, and I'm ready to load the footage that I want to ingest. So if I have a card reader connected to my ingest station, I can just put the card in the card reader and it will load automatically. Or what I am doing now is I'm browsing my drive and finding some footage that I want to ingest. And you mentioned loading a file, but it's not only files that we can load here, it's also camera cards, professional camera cards, Canon, Sony, Panasonic, or also some GoPro, drone footage, and as you said, just files like audio files, video file, graphic files. So we can really load any kind of content in Intuit Access user interface, and we are not limited to one card or one file or one folder. We can load several cards and files at the same time in the user interface, like I'm doing here, loading a Canon card plus some MP4 files that I got from internet. So the idea is really to have a one-stop shop for all these manual ingest operations.
If I load that many files, and maybe very long files, because let's assume I was participating in a press conference and only 5 minutes from 1.5 hours content is of importance. How can I manage this during the ingest to only have the necessary parts?
Yes, so very good question. In the Intuit Access user interface, you have here on the left-hand side, you can, by the way, move it to the right-hand side if you prefer, you have a player. And in this player that is able to play any broadcast or non-broadcast format, you have the ability to, of course, control the footage. If your footage has some audio tracks, you can also check the audio. But you can indeed create subclips if you want to do a partial ingest. So you can just put in and out points. We have shortcuts for that, of course. And you can save your subclip here. And of course, you can have more than one subclip if in your 1 hour press conference you want to have several extracts, several pieces of it that you want to ingest at the same time. So this player is very convenient for audio control and subclipping as well.
If I now selected my necessary files, or the files I like to get into my post-production workflow, what is very important are metadata. We are always talking about metadata with our customers. What does Woody offer in the user interface during the ingest process to optimize metadata management?
Yes, metadata is really key in the Woody workflow. So I will maybe zoom in a bit so you can see better. When you select the clips that you want to ingest, here I've selected 3 clips. You can see here that I have 2 metadata fields that are for now empty. But you can see probably a little red star here and here, which means the administrator has decided that these fields are mandatory. I have to fill them before I start my ingest. So this kind of metadata, you can completely customize them in the Woody workflows. You have multiple metadata types, dates, switchers, true, false, text fields, list of values, as you can see here. That's completely up to you to build the metadata forms that you like and that you need for your workflow. And of course, you will be able to use this metadata during the ingest process.
Where do I ingest to? Now I'm ready to press the button, I think, but what are the different options? Where does it go to?
It can go to many different places, actually. So this destination is defined in the profile. The profiles are where all the configuration happens about the workflow, and you can ingest to many different destinations. And we have integration with media asset management systems, with storage platforms, with social networks. So you cloud storage as well, of course. So you can really configure many different targets, and you can filter these targets, these profiles, depending on the user rights. So here you can see this user has 2 profiles available, one to ingest cards to the local PAM, and one to upload through Aspera to another system in New York. So this is with this profile selection and with all the configuration behind it, that you can select to which system the clips will be delivered to. And you can also, of course, define different metadata forms, different workflow steps based on the profile, so based on the destination that you're actually selecting.
Thank you. Yeah, can we now see the clips arriving in Woody Intuit Exchange? That's another product of the product line of you. And a basic competency in that architecture diagrams.
Yeah, of course, just to explain to our viewers, so here I'm in Intuit Access, but I can combine Intuit Access with Intuit Exchange, which is our backend scalable product and gateway for all the ingest operations, not only the manual ones, but also the automated ones. And you can combine both. You have different types of architecture that you can have, but one of them is to have Intuit Access as the client side, as what the users are facing, and Intuit Exchange as the backend to do all the processing. So in that case, when you will click on the process button here,
it's Intuit Exchange that doing the processing and not Access doing the processing.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. Thank you for correcting me.
No problem.
So that's good that you correct me. So when you click the button here, basically here I am triggering a job that will be executed in Intuit Exchange. I'm using only Intuit Access to prepare the content. So if I switch my view to the Intuit Exchange monitoring now, I can see that we have here the monitoring of the job that is progressing with my 3 clips that are being processed and being ingested. And this view is a very good central view of all the operations that are happening on the system. So very useful for the administrators generally.
How does the processing work in Exchange? Is it always the same, or are there different options?
No, you have different options that you configure in the profile. So here you can see that I have much more profiles than what you've seen in the user interface, because these profiles can be can be filtered via the user rights, but here in the profile selection, I can really decide what happens in terms of transcoding. You have here the metadata definition that we've discussed before. And this is also here that you define what will happen in terms of delivery, where the files will be delivered, to which folder, with which name, and if there are any additional processing like sequence creation and notifications and so on. As you can have, and you can have as many profiles as you need. You're never limited in terms of a number of profiles. We have customers, they have dozens and dozens of profiles. So yeah, you have a lot of flexibility here that you can configure in Intuit Exchange.
Yeah, one of the core competencies of Woody is the interaction with Avid Interplay. Can we please see how files are arriving in Interplay and what is important?
Yes, of course. Integration with Avid PAM is indeed one of our strong suits, and we have a very tight integration with Avid ecosystem in general, among other media asset management systems. So here in my profile, we can see that I'm delivering on a specific Nexus folder, and we can also see that I'm delivering in an Interplay folder that is dynamically calculated based on the metadata. So I'm creating one folder per day, and then a folder per category, and then a folder with the story. So if we now have a look at my Avid system here, in my incoming media folder, let me zoom in a little bit so it's a bit more readable by you. In my incoming media demo, which is my root folder, we can indeed find a folder with the date of today. That has been automatically created. And in that folder, we have also the current affairs, the category folder that has been created automatically. And if we continue, we have here a folder with the name of the story that, if you remember well, I have entered in my Intuit Access user interface. So this has been automatically calculated and created in your Avid system without the Ingest user actually creating that manually. So that's really convenient. And inside that folder, we finally find the clips that I've been ingesting. And they are all properly named with a proper prefix with the story. So the media managers will easily understand what this content is related to. And we have even created here a sequence that is containing all the clips of my Ingest job. So here you have all the clips. This is ready for editing. This is convenient. This is properly named, properly transcoded at the right format, and delivered to the right location.
You mentioned the profile configuration and that we are able to have user rights in there. Could you please evaluate a little bit more on that topic?
Yes, sure. Here in Intuit Exchange users configuration, you have a lot of options that you can play with. First, you can define some roles in the user interfaces and what people will be able to do in terms of changing the configuration or operating the system. You can create some groups of profiles. So here I've created a demo group of profile where I've added some specific profiles. And then you can put your users in user groups, and these user groups can be linked to a profile group and to a role, so to a set of permissions. So that's really flexible. You can really do basically whatever you want. What is also very interesting is that we have a tight integration with authentication providers, because when you have a wide range of users, a large number of users, you need to manage this authentication centrally, and you want also to have the users using their corporate credentials to log into Woody applications. So here in the external providers, you can configure the connection to Active Directory or to a SAML2 provider such as Okta, OneLogin, or any other. And then you will just manage the users in this third-party provider, and you will have a simplified management of configuration in Woody.
We already highlighted the integrations to other third parties. So besides the big post-production player, there are others, newsroom system, media asset management systems. How can I configure such third-party integrations in the backend?
So it's happening in the connectors area of the backend. So this is here in the connectors that you can configure the credentials and the endpoints of the third-party systems that you want to integrate with. So when you add a new connector here, you have a large list here of media asset management, file systems, transfer accelerators, social networks, cloud platforms, and depending on the selection that you make, you will have to fill in the parameters of the system in question. So if you are, for instance, selecting Signient, you will have some options that are specific to Signient that you will have to configure and to fill in. And once you've done that, and once you've saved your connector, you will be able to see in which profiles or in which watch folders this is used. For instance, this Google Drive connector is used in my export profile, and it's not used in any watch folder. If I go to my Interplay profile, AvidPam, I can see that it is used in many profiles and in one watch folder. So you have here all these various information about how the connectors are used, which makes the management quite easy. And again, thanks to the connectors, you can connect to multiple Avid systems, to multiple FTP servers, to multiple Grass Valley MAMs, and so on.
Yeah, lots of our customers are using watch folders instead of clicking through the user interface. Can we set up one together?
Yeah, of course. So this is happening here in the watch folders tab. You can see that I've already a few of them which are configured. And when you are setting a watch folder, you have to first name it, which is the easy part. And you have then all the settings of the watch folder. So if we go a bit into the details, we have different modes for the watch folders. We can trigger on a media file. Let me zoom in again so it's may be easier to read. So we have a media watch folder. Basically, you put a file, MP4 file or an MXF file in a folder, and it's processed. You can trigger also on a metadata file, which is very useful if you have metadata-only workflows, or if you have a sidecar metadata that is describing the location of a media file. You can have watch folders processing camera cards, and you can have Interplay watch folders if you want to export Avid assets from the system. So if you are setting up a media watch folder, then you need to define with which profile it will be processed. So here I'm logged in with my demo account, which is not a very good idea because I should see here more profiles, but I'm not allowed to. So you can see that the filtering is working. And here you can select the profile that will be used for the ingest. Then you have to define some basic options about how frequently you will watch the storage. We support process of growing files coming in the watch folders. And you have the file access. That is quite important to know where the files actually are. Where is the folder to be watched? So here you can see the various connectors that we have configured that are compatible with watch folders. So here we can watch a generic SMB, UNC pass, or local drive location, but you can also watch an AWS bucket or a Google Drive folder if you like. Depending on the system you select, you can also define a subfolder that you want to watch. So if in my AWS S3 system I have a subfolder that is named watch, I can configure that here, or even several levels of subfolders can be configured. You have a lot of filtering options on the watch folders, so you can define what's the minimum file size, what are the file names looking like that you want to include in the watch folder. We can browse also the subfolders that can be quite useful. And you can finally define what happens after the files detected in the watch folders are being processed. So you can decide if you want to delete the source file or to move it to a different folder, so to make sure that you can see what has been properly processed and what has not. So these are some of the options that you can find in the watch folders. We have some more advanced options for the watch folders, especially for the news agencies. As you can see here, we trigger on a metadata file, and then we are doing a matching with some media file in a different folder or in the same folder. You can configure that. Thanks to this matching between the media and the metadata, we will be able to extract the metadata from the sidecar file and to use them in the workflow.
Yeah, thank you for showing all this. To be complete, and I did not prepare a question for you on that, but API is also an option how you can talk to the Woody products. Maybe you can spread a few words about that.
Yes, basically what you're doing with the user interface, you can also do through the API. And when you are submitting a job through the API, you can basically send a very basic job like process file a.mp4 with profile 123. This is the most basic job and very simple to implement. But you can also go further and you can override some settings of the profile. So you could say process file a.mp4 with profile 123, but I want to force the name of the target assets or of the target folder to a certain value. So it gives a lot of flexibility because you can decide what is calculated by the rules of the profile and what is calculated by the requestor in advance and just submit it through the API. Of course, the API is also allowing you to monitor what happens and to get the results of what has been done by Woody. So if you're asking Woody to ingest an asset to a media asset management system through the API, as a result, you will get the ID of this media in the asset management system. So you can store that value for future use in other workflows.
Yeah, Woody does offer one other way since a while to ingest content, and that's via the Intuit mobile app. How does it work, and can you show it to us?
Yeah, I will show you a quick video about this mobile app because I cannot share the screen of my mobile directly here. So the app is basically done to help you browse content from your device. And send it over. So you are able to choose a profile as in all the Woody user interface. Then you are able to browse your device to select the pictures, the videos that you want to upload. And finally, again, you are asked to add the metadata that are being defined by the profile. And of course, you can also rename the content. So you can rename the content, add your metadata, mandatory metadata as we've seen before, and or optional metadata. And then you can start your upload. So it's a very convenient way to get the content available to everyone from a different device, from a different user interface.
Yeah, thank you. Did I miss any possibility how I can ingest files or content into Woody?
Maybe there is one that I would like to highlight and show you. This is a new feature that came out with Intuit version 3.4 that we released just 1 month ago. This is the new upload user interface. This upload user interface is something completely new that you can use to easily transfer files to a production system without basically having all the browsing, subclipping that we've seen before. So this is the most simple user interface that we've ever done. You can just browse files from your hard drive. Here I'm taking a picture file and an audio file and a few video files. You can open that here in this user interface. As before, you have the profile selection to decide the destination of the content. Can be any kind of Woody profile that you are using. And then you have, again, the metadata to fill in to prepare your upload. So that's super easy. And when you click on the upload button, the system will upload the content to the backend, and the processing that has been defined in the profile will be executed. So here the files will be transcoded and delivered to my Avid PAM again. And you can monitor the status from here. So that's very convenient for internal users or for external users who you want to contribute with files without all the fully featured Intuit Access user interface, but with something much simpler. And the good thing is that this new upload user interface, you can use it on Windows, you can use it on Mac OS. It only requires a very small agent that is running in the background that you will even forget. So that's very simple, but it's again a good replacement to all these WhatsApp, WeTransfer, watch folders where you put everything together, but with no real metadata management. It's quite easy. And then you can have a look again at the result of this. This is again well organized in my PAM system. I have again my folder properly created, my files properly named, and in just a few seconds, as you can see, you can start working on it.
Perfect. Thank you for that demo for today. There's a lot more to show, but we will do that in a separate session any time later. Today, you have the opportunity to meet Aurélien again and get a personalized demo, or he answers your questions also in the coffee bar. Thank you for watching, and thanks, Aurélien, for showing all the features of Woody.
You're welcome. Thank you, Jutta.